That's a great video up there. It would be great if someone could watch it, wouldn't it? Yeah, anyway, where were we? So the next section is on Eric Birling. Luckily, we only have a few quotes on this one. So the first quote is from Act 3, which is kind of weird, but she wasn't the usual sort. This is probably one of my favourite quotes in the thing, because there's so many things you can point out from it. She wasn't the usual sort could just mean that she was important to him, or it could mean have a deeper meaning, that he thinks that he thinks of her as an individual. She is not just, as Mrs. Birling would say, a girl of that sort. She is an individual with individual thoughts and feelings and beliefs. So that's basically what Eric says here. She wasn't the usual sort. She wasn't like everyone else. There are not specific groups of people necessarily, and that's really Eric. I guess I see that as him breaking free from the idea of capitalism, or at least that's what it's supposed to be, I'm guessing. And then here, I was in a state where a chap easily turns nasty. It's probably not the best excuse I've ever heard. I mean, you got into that state, therefore it's your own actions that led to that. He doesn't yet realise, because in that time it was widely accepted that, okay, you were drunk, you can do what you want. But nowadays you would have to face the repercussions. Back in those times, yeah, okay, that would have been acceptable, but by the end, Eric Birling begins to learn that maybe things need to change. Okay, so 39, she didn't want me to marry her. That shows a lot more about Eva Smith than it does about Eric Birling, really, because she didn't want Eric to marry her because of her low class, which is her thinking morally about what should happen in this day and age. That's her being the bigger person. Again, linking to Mrs. Birling, who was saying a girl of that sort, who is clearly morally more superior to you by doing all these great things. And then 41, you killed them both. That's by them both. He's talking about Eva Smith and the unborn child, which was his and Eva Smith's. But the fact is, none of these people in the family at the time even realised that was the situation. Especially Mrs. Birling, after turning her away. She never realised that she was pregnant with Eric's kid, which would have changed everything, you know? It's all about your perspective and how you think of things. You don't know if that's really what it seems, you know? Also, Sheila Birling and Mr. Birling wouldn't have done that if they knew that she was in a relationship with Eric. Then they'd probably treat her a lot better than that, but, well, arguably not, because she's from a low class. Anyway, yeah, that's him laying the blame on everyone. So, 41. He was our police inspector, alright. So, in this, Eric Birling is saying that despite the inspector not being a real inspector, he was still their inspector, because he stood up for what they now believe in. He taught them a lesson. He figured out what was going on here. He figured out what was wrong. He found the problem. He solved it. At least that's what they think in the socialist ideology, that this is a problem. People acting like this without responsibility for their actions. So, number 42 here, the girl's still dead, isn't she? This is basically Eric saying, it's however much we argue over it, however much we pass around the blame, this girl's still dead. It's not going to make any difference. And next time, maybe we shouldn't follow those actions, and it won't lead to such disastrous consequences. And finally, 43, we all helped to kill her. He accepts his responsibility. He accepts that he did something wrong, and he understands, he's repentant for what he did. But that collective noun of we shows that he believes that all of them had an effect on what happened. If it wasn't for each and every one of the people in this room, things might have been a lot better for Eva Smith. It's that collective responsibility sort of links to social responsibility. It's everything that happens to anyone is all of our problems. So we can't just sit by and let things happen. Even just by not doing anything, even just by doing something we think is the smallest, tiniest thing, you can have such a great impact on someone's life. And I think that's what this shows. Okay, that was Eric Birling, episode 4. Goodbye.